There are companies which are desperate to try stuff in AI, especially the innovation teams and stuff like that.
It is very important to have very fast learning loops so that you know what is possible with AI, what can be done, and what should you be doing. And your own mental models keep evolving as you close these loops faster and faster.
The quote is that organizations ship their org structures as a product.
Because unless you are AI native, shipping AI features will not really help. We could not have imagined that no, we could get so far with AI in such a short time. Are we already building system of action? No. But are we building system of intelligence? Yes. What is going to be the moat is your speed of execution. And unless you are AI native, you will not be able to execute things at a speed that will help you succeed.
Hey Nitin, it's good to have you on the show.
Hi,
Folks,
Prasanna.
Nitin runs FlytBase. They're a drone company. And until a year or two ago, we would have said, what do drones have to do with AI? But here is Nitin, and we are going to talk to him about why drones and AI are an interesting mix. And more importantly, how a drone operating system company has now become an AI native company, an AI first company, and what they've been doing over the last couple of years to make this transition, and how I think they're like really ahead of the curve with respect to almost anybody else building anywhere else in the world. Welcome, Nitin.
Thanks, Prasanna. Great to be here with you.
So, do you want to give a quick intro about yourself and FlightBase?
Sure. So, hi everyone. I am Nitin. I am the founder and CEO at FlightBase. My background is I graduated from IIT Bombay Aerospace Engineering, then did masters from University of Maryland in the US. So I've been working on drones, robotics since my college time. So this is like luckily I got an opportunity to work on something that is very interesting to me. That was like kind of my area of interest and passion anyway. So I was fortunately like got an opportunity to study and work in the same area. So that has
Nice.
been like really fun and very rewarding for me. And since college time I was involved in a lot of like drone related activities or robotics related activities, building all these kind of systems, designing algorithms to make them work. And that has been the theme of whatever I have done in last 20-25 years, designing
Nice.
all this intelligence for some physical systems. And now
Nice.
recently all this is now getting the name of physical AI. That how do you use intelligence to make things happen in the physical world. So at FlightBase, our kind of core business is around drones, and we don't really make hardware, and we don't work on defense applications. So those are two disclaimers I like to give early on, because usually people associate drones with defense use cases, and they associate being a drone company to building hardware. We don't do either of those. So we only focus on the intelligence layer of drones, and we only focus on commercial applications. So these are applications for enterprise customers in oil and gas, construction, mining, public safety, railroads, highways. So all kinds of civil or commercial applications. And everywhere we are using the hardware that is already available in the market, but we are building the intelligence layers in order to help us fly this hardware, coordinate this hardware,
Nice.
and get the interesting data, analyze that data, give insights, and all of those layers. So everything to do with intelligence for controlling these systems and getting data and understanding that data.
Nice. Fantastic. So, a couple of years ago, I don't know, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, my conception of time seems to have been broken after Cloud Code came in. But a couple of years ago, you were not doing AI, right? You were building stuff for drones. Of course, there was an intelligence in terms of running the drones autonomously and things like that, but not really a lot of the Gen AI kind of stuff,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
Uh, was there a moment or was there a point where you suddenly felt, hey, what we're doing needs to change? What caused
Right.
that?
Yes. So, see, we have always been excited about AI, and we have always been kind of thinking of the future, that at some point all this AI and these things will become powerful and will really create a huge impact in how we do things and how our world functions. So that has been always in the back of our minds. But at the same time, the technology was not mature enough to actually give some real value or real world impact maybe 2 3 years ago. And I remember that in 2021 or 2022 we had dedicated a few months in just exploring what is available in AI and how best can we utilize it and create value for our customers. And it did not really meet our expectations or what we would have liked to deliver to our customers that time. And we know that no, all this technology was not very mature few years ago. But what happened is, in 2024 and early 2025, that is like 1.5 years ago, some of my team members, we started kind of just again exploring and playing around with what was available at that time. So very early versions of Replit, very early versions of Chat GPTs, whatever models. So we started experimenting and we came across like a bunch of things in even sound related, like voice related agents, and some of this coding agents and things like that. Initially we were very skeptical because we had tried them a few years ago and they were quite primitive and they were not able to really generate any real world outcomes. But what we saw in late 2024 completely blew our minds, and we were completely surprised and shocked that wow, like this is amazing. This, we could not have imagined that no, we could get so far with AI in such a short time.
Right.
And that time we just decided to take a pause. There is a glitch in the universe, something major is happening, and if this is true, then it has a huge repercussions. Like so many things can now be imagined in a very different way if we start thinking of all of this as the foundation for the world that we are now stepping into. And that time we took a pause, and for the next few weeks we just kind of froze, and we were not able to do anything, and we were just constantly experimenting and thinking about AI all the time and thinking about like ramifications beyond what we do at FlightBase, like overall as a society, what will happen and where will this go and what will this mean, etc., etc. And after a few weeks of lot of debates, discussions, and sleepless nights, then gradually things started kind of falling in place, and we were able to build a mental model of what this world will be like and what could be a role for FlightBase to play in that new world, etc., etc. And then gradually pieces started falling in place, and we had a view of how we think this thing will evolve and what should we do to make the best of it.
So I seem to remember that at some point, right, you were thinking quite widely, well beyond, drones and things like that, and you were like not constraining your thinking,
Mhm,
if I may put it that way, right?
mhm.
Uh, how did that help, or did that slow you down, or did that? How was that in terms of, because, like you said, right, you're this crazy college kid
Yes,
who
yes.
decided to be in aerospace stuff, and then somehow out of the millions of graduates a year in India, you might be the only one who stuck to what you wanted to build, make things fly around, get them to fly around. Now you're doing it in a different way. But in the middle, I felt, right, at least, that you were thinking very, very widely and very openly. What was that period like, and why were you
Right,
thinking much more about like all the different things
right.
outside of your passion area, which is drones?
Right. So, see, as an engineer, you are fascinated by the idea of building something and making something and bringing it to life and creating value for someone with that. Like, while yes, drones has been an area of passion and interest, but I am foundationally an engineer. I like to build stuff. I like to explore technology. I like to imagine new possibilities and make them happen. And those areas, or that part of me is beyond drones. I'm not, I don't think of myself just as a drone engineer or like a drone person. Of course, that is something very tactical, something that we are doing on a daily basis. But foundationally, I am an engineer and I like to build stuff and I like to imagine what the world can be and come up with ways of making it happen. So when we started realizing what is going on with AI, we realized like some of the foundational things that no, we disagreed on, which was like the cost of building stuff will shrink, right? It will drop by orders of magnitude, and the speed at which you can get things done will again reduce by orders of magnitude. What does this mean? According to us, what this means is that the moat that earlier we used to have in terms of, if you have spent building something, no, if you have spent 5 years, 10 years building something, you have some immense moat because the cost of duplication will be very high for someone else. But that will gradually become lesser and lesser important. Like people will be able to replicate stuff in 1/10 the time, 1/10 the cost, and so on. So
You're seeing that.
effectively, what is the mode, and how should that impact the vision that you are building your company with? And what we realized is that, like for example, if you're building a CRM company, is that a big enough or challenging enough problem to be solved anymore? And if somebody can replicate that in a few hours, do you really have a technical moat? Maybe you still have distribution moat or some other moat, trust moat or some other things, but at least from the technology product side, maybe the moat will really shrink. So with all this realization, one of the foundational things was that, see, as new technology becomes available, and you can think of steam engines or you can think of electricity, lot of things which used to take a lot of effort will suddenly become effortless, will become very easy to do. And now you have an opportunity to dream something much bigger. So you have an opportunity to come up with a bigger vision, which is really meaningful given all the power that you now have available. Right. So resetting the vision became a priority for us, that if we
Okay.
are still with all this superpower available, and if we are still chasing something which has now become too trivial, maybe it is not even worth pursuing. And an analogy that we use is, suppose you have a genie, and a genie tells you that, okay, give me orders, I'll get it done for you. And you ask the genie that, okay, please clean my house. That is not a like respectful enough tasks to be allocated to a superpower. You have to come up with bigger ask. And that is why we spent that time. Yeah, I remember meeting you and we were thinking of a lot of crazy ideas. And that time, we decided to just do a little bit of an open exploration as to what should our ambition even be. And maybe whatever ambition we had set several years ago is not big enough anymore given all this power. Yes.
Got it. Got it. Then how did you like get out of that and back into drones?
Yes. So basically how it happened is, we tried to again start with a blank canvas, that if we were given a blank canvas and if we were starting a company today, knowing all the power that AI has to offer, what kind of vision would we set and what kind of interesting problems will we solve? And we came up with a lot of crazy ideas, that we can do security, we can do inspections, we can do this and that, and all kinds of systems. And then we started to also think that, okay, how will we get there, and what will be a good path to get to that vision, and is there a way that we can leverage whatever we have done so far to become our wedge. Right. So if we are able to set a goal and also create a path where we have an unfair advantage because of whatever legacy that we have or whatever understanding that we have, then we have a better chance of getting to that goal following that path instead of from a different path. Right.
Right.
So after a lot of debates and discussions, we realize that everybody fundamentally is going after creating a superhuman, super being. And fundamental problems are quite similar, irrespective of whatever problem you come up with. Because fundamental problems are memory, fundamental problems are being able to reason and come up with, okay, what should be the next action based on the understanding that you have, based on all the data, all the historic context that you have for any problem. So basically you are
Right.
creating a replica of a superhuman, and it could be any domain. It could be medicine, it could be lawyer, it could be any domain, engineer. Everywhere it's all about understanding the problem, reasoning things out, and then coming up with the next set of actions and actuating. Right. So whether
Right.
you solve a problem in medicine, you solve a problem of global warming, you solve the problem of robotics, everywhere fundamentally you will create the same infra, and you are competing with anybody else building any kind of foundational AI pieces, because all
Right.
these problems stacked together become that solution. And once you are able to solve one problem, you can replicate it across domains, because you have created a super learnable human. And now that human can become a doctor, that human can also become an engineer, that can also become a lawyer. So once you have created that superhuman, he can do anything. Right. But you have to pick
Sure.
one problem that gives you an opportunity to create that superhuman, and that problem be better something that you can easily relate to, where you can do quick experiments, do quick iterations, and get to building these layers well. And once you are able to do this, hopefully you will have built the entire stack that can be taken and replicated across different domains, etc., etc., and like you are creating God. So so that's the foundational thing we realized after lot of discussions. And then we said, okay, what kind of problem should we pick where we get an opportunity to create this god in a
Right.
way that where we have a unique advantage to building this. And we said, okay, if we are solving a problem of site intelligence, that is, think of any open large sites.
Right.
Think of a mining site or a construction site or a rail yard or a no your substation, electricity substation, any kind of large site. How do you do site intelligence? How do you know what is going on your site? How do you help with inspections, with compliance, with
Mm-hmm.
security, all kinds of issues for a large site?
Yeah.
So that seemed like a good problem for us to take up, because that is naturally aligned with whatever we have been doing for last so many years, because
Mm-hmm.
drones become a natural way of collecting lot of data for these large sites. And once we have that data from drones, we can also add more modalities. We can also get data from ground robots, from CCTV cameras, from other kinds of sensors. And as you start piecing all this information together, now you have a good understanding of your entire site. Once you have the
Nice.
understanding of your entire site, you can do reasoning, you can do causality, you can figure out if this happened, why did it happen, who came before this
Nice.
person. So, and once you are able to analyze and do all that reasoning, etc., etc., now you can come up with actions, that if I have to maintain my site or if I have to improve my security posture, what should I do? So you're coming up
Hmm.
with, so basically from system of records to system of intelligence and to system of actions, right? So
Hmm.
system of record is a very dumb sort of a way, just collecting data, it's just a record. But then
Right.
intelligence on top of that data, and then actions on top of it, that's the real deal. Like, can you figure out what should I do in order to get to my desired outcomes? So for us, the logical steps are that, okay, today we are building something which can orchestrate, which can fly the drone, collect the data. In a way, you're gathering all this data into your system of records. The next is,
Mm-hmm.
on top of this data, what can we understand? Can we understand the security posture? Can we understand the inspection status,
Right.
maintenance status, compliance status, all of those things? And then on top of it, can we also figure out what should I do? I need to change this pipe, I need to go and change this solar panel. And then can I create a job card and assign that job to a robot? So I send a humanoid to go and change that solar panel, and then I have my outcome, right? So basically the thought process is that if we are
Right.
able to now carve out a path, that where we are
Mm-hmm.
today and how do we get
Mm-hmm.
to the system of actions for large physical site, then that would be a very interesting problem to solve, where we have an advantage as a company that has already been working on robotics and drones. And if this entire problem is solved, not only do we create immense value for large physical sites, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever foundation pieces will get built along this way, we believe that those same pieces can be applied to a lot of different domains of kind of human endeavor and so on.
So just going a bit deeper into that part, right, where you talked about
Yes.
physical intelligence, system of record becoming system of intelligence, becoming system of actions, right?
Right.
I think most companies are still in the system of record phase at best. Uh, in fact, there are lots of companies which are still on Excel sheets. Right? So Excel is probably a bigger system of record in most places than anything else, right? And then folks are trying or thinking about moving to systems of intelligence, and it's not even clear what the definition of a system of intelligence is, what kind of thing it will hold and not hold, and I mean, obviously there are like competing implementations around that, competing thoughts around what it can have and not have, and stuff like that, right? But you're talking about something that is beyond that as well, which is system of action. So, when you are looking at FlightBase as an organization, when you're looking at how you're serving your customers, do you think that you have made that shift from internally having system of records to having systems of intelligence? Is that something that you've been thinking about?
So see, like initially, what was important for us was to first set a reasonable vision, for what we want to accomplish over next, say, decade or so. Again, timelines right now are all over the
Sure.
place. We don't know whether we'll get there in 2 years or
Absolutely.
20 years, but
Yes.
directionally, at least we want to set a sort of a clear vision where we want to be, so that we are continuously thinking about it and building all the layers that will help us get to that goal. Now, today, are we already building system of action? No. But are we building system of intelligence? Yes. So today we are already making modules available to our customers, where till 2 years ago, they were able to utilize FlightBase only to collect data, only to organize data, look at their like oil wells, look at their tanks, look at their solar farms. So just collection of data was the goal that we had, and that is the value that we used to deliver to our customers. Now, over last 1 year, we have started offering value in terms of not only data but understanding of that data, that using vision language models, using different kinds of techniques, how can we provide them insights as to what is the health of your tanks, what is the compliance status, what is the security
Wow.
status, what kind of incidents are you observing around your sites, raising alerts, creating those kind of reports. And again, reports are being created following certain SOPs of these organizations, following some industry standards. So all that can be given to our agents, and our agents will understand your SOPs, your industry standards, and create reports in following those standards. So system of intelligence, to some part, yes. So we are already providing all this intelligence to our customers now, and there is still a lot of headroom in terms of what else we can provide, what else we can do, and we are constantly experimenting and figuring out more and more ways we can create more value for our customers. And then system of action, we believe, is a little bit ahead in terms of, see, drones cannot really do a lot of work for our customers. So we work with a lot of customers in oil and gas, in construction, mining. A lot of actions that you need to take are things that drones probably will not be the best ways of actuating on that
Okay.
environment, and we'll have to wait for humanoids or ground robots to evolve to a
Okay.
point where we can create these job cards and assign to these like other kinds of systems, other modalities to get those actions done.
Got it. So, no, that's a very interesting way of looking at it, right? When you go and try to sell this to enterprises, I think 2 years ago, I don't know what kind of reception you would have got, because I don't think people were ready to buy at that time, right? This kind of a story
Yes.
of, you have to go from system of record to system of intelligence, forget about the system of action. And on the other side, you are selling to really, really not tech forward kind of industries. And within those industries, you're not necessarily selling to the most tech savvy teams. What kind of a reception did you get 2 years ago? Has that changed?
Right. So see, you are right. We sell some of the largest enterprises. We sell to some of the largest like oil and gas companies, refineries. We sell to construction companies, mining companies, and these are some of the big logos, big names globally. And we are selling it in about 70 countries. So we have built a very different GTM to be able to reach out to them, to working with all these system integrators and so on. And see, when we sell to enterprises, we have to be cautious, because if you kind of talk a little too much about all this intelligence and action, and all this might scare them, and it is not necessarily required for us to create value for our customers today. Right. So what they are looking for initially is just using automated drones to be able to collect data and at best generate certain insights, which reduces their everyday work of looking at that data. So that is a limited story that is already
Right.
quite powerful for our customers today. So basically, like what I said, like we have to set a goal and we have to set a path to getting to that goal, and different pit stops along this path should be things that are valuable enough for customers to be able to pay us and create a sustainable business. And then we go to the next one and create even more value and so on. We don't have to try and create the full value on day one and only then sell something, because that technology also probably is not mature enough to be able to give all what we want to deliver in over the
Got it.
next decade. So we have to kind of time all of this, and we have to kind of design our game in a way where, okay, this is what the story is today, this is the value that we can give to customers, and this is defensible enough, this is valuable enough, where customers are willing to pay, they are willing to move forward and so on. And as this market matures, we already have visibility of the next opportunities that we will be working on, and how this ties back to what our story so far is. So that way we are always kind of doing that R&D or experimentation on the next phase, and as we start to see some good results, we have customers, early adopters, at least from our pool of customers, who we can start experimenting with, or who we can start sharing some of these interesting developments with.
Got it. So, looking at that, do you go and sell AI to your customers, or what do you
Yes,
sell? Like,
so
what's your
that is
pitch?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Prasanna, especially because this was a very important learning 7 8 months ago. So when we built our initial some AI capabilities in the product, we started reaching out to customers and pitching that AI thing, and there were some very interesting learnings. One was that, see, everybody is trying to sell AI to customers, and AI is now table stakes. And if you just go and say that, okay, you give me all your data and I will give you insights with AI, it is going to be very hard to penetrate these Fortune 500 kind of customers, because those customers also know that how valuable their data is. And the moment you ask them for data and say that you give me your data and I will provide you AI based insights, they will put their guards on. They will say, sorry, I have my internal AI team. I will do it with my internal team. I don't want to give it to an external vendor. Right. So that's a very common problem that most AI companies today are facing, who have to rely on data that customers already have. In our
Right.
case, we were able to overcome this problem in an interesting way, because we already are a data collection platform. We already provide the layers that are used to orchestrate drones and collect the data. So the data
Right.
is already being collected by us. So we already
Right.
have access to all that data. And now talking about intelligence on offering those agentic layers is a just a step change from what customers are already
Nice.
used to. Right. So we are not going to customers and telling them that give us your data and we will give you insights. We are saying that, see,
Mm-hmm.
you are already using our platform for data collection. We now have an additional module which can reduce your work of analyzing that data. Why don't you try it out? So this becomes a
Got it.
much easier entry. And in some cases, interestingly, our customers guided us. Our customers told us, please don't sell it as an AI product. My IT team, my internal teams will block you. Right.
Right.
So customer told us
Yeah.
ki please just sell it as a additional capability on top of your core platform, and your core platform is something that is not a competing thing with our internal teams, because our
Right.
internal teams are never going to build drone
Yeah.
orchestration layers. So we are happy to collaborate with you, because that is not our business. We are an oil and gas company, but AI, that is our internal capability. Now we have an internal team building AI. So if you try and sell me anything with AI, I will get blocked. But if you're selling me something to
Yeah.
orchestrate drones and offer some additional capabilities on top, that is completely okay.
No, absolutely. I think it's a very, very important lesson
Yes.
that different folks have learned again and again, right? Many, many founders that I've been speaking to, I think, have undergone the same shift, similar kind of shift, where we say, look, sell the problem, sell the solution to the problem, sell the value of the solution to the problem.
Right.
Don't sell AI if you don't
Right.
want to get stuck in some new bureaucracy, and you get to be the
Right.
guinea pig of this new bureaucratic process of approving AI. That's not a place you want to be in necessarily,
Right.
right?
Right.
I think it comes with a tension. There are companies which are like desperate to try stuff in AI, especially the innovation teams and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes.
But in the past as well as now, I find that going from the innovation team into production is not a trivial.
Yes.
The innovation team tries something, pays for it, including paying for it quite
Right.
a bit.
Right.
But then going from innovation to production is a
Right.
whole different ball game. Different teams,
Absolutely.
different champions,
Yes.
different stakeholders, different mapping entirely, and then it's almost like you're starting from scratch, but
Mm.
you have a disadvantage now because
Right.
you think
Right.
you're there already, and then the game
Mm.
starts all over again, right? And
Yes.
that's very
Yes. Yes.
tough, very tough.
Yes.
Seen
Yes.
too many
Yes.
folks struggle with
Yes.
that.
So, like, exactly this happened, and that is what our champion in that organization told us, that no, if you say anything with AI, then I have to take it to a different no team to approve, and we, because we have an internal initiative, it will get blocked. And he said that, I know our internal team will not be able to do the kind of things you guys are doing, but unnecessarily, just because of that AI tagging,
Yeah.
it will get blocked. So don't talk too much about AI. So
Yeah, yeah, totally resonates, right? Totally
yes.
resonates.
Yes.
The other side of it, Nitin, is what have you been doing internally? And I know that you've been very, very strongly opinionated about having all your teams adopt AI and build stuff with
Yes.
AI and things like that.
Yes.
That's not, I would say, usual or common.
Correct.
Why did you take that stance? What has that been like?
Yes. So you are right. We have very strong opinions on this, and we feel like really, really strongly that what is the moat with AI, right? Because product is not the moat with AI. And like whatever we are thinking of, okay, we are thinking of a vision of system of action, this or that. Uh, I don't think it is super secretive, or like it is not something that others will not be able to come up with. So product will only keep getting easier and easier for anyone to build. So what is going to be the moat is your speed of execution. So speed as a moat is something that we firmly believe in with AI, and the speed gives you an ability to do more iterations in a shorter time, and the more iterations you do in a shorter time, the better chances you have at cracking a problem better than anybody else. So speed becomes your moat. And for speed to be a moat, it becomes very, very important that internally is your organization AI native? Is your organization able to really leverage the full power of AI? Because, see, if you're building AI capability but with a non AI native team, you will be shipping that capability in a month or 2 months. But if you are internally AI native, you can potentially ship it in maybe 2 days, right? So it is not about saving money, it is not about shrinking your team, it is about speed. And unless you are AI native, you will not be able to execute things at a speed that will help you succeed. So that is why we believe that more important than shipping AI features is becoming AI native, because unless you are AI native, shipping AI features will not really help.
Do you think this is a moat in the now, or do you think this is a moat that's going to be required, say, 12 months or 24 months or whatever in the future?
So I'll tell you how we think about this. The thing is, today it is definitely a massive moat if you are able to rewire our organization into AI native. Why it is a moat? Because most companies are not able to do this, and it becomes a huge differentiator because now you can ship features in like a few days, what others will take order of a month or even more, right? And this difference is very easy to spot. And one way you can see this is also like what we were discussing, no, revenue per employee. So a lot of organizations, they would have decent revenues, but they would also have large teams. And when you look at revenue per employee, you can see that efficiency. And that efficiency again is not just from the point of view of how much money you are spending or etc. etc. It impacts the your agility, how fast you can run. And why it is hard for organization to do this is because people are very used to following playbooks. People are very used to that,
Yeah.
okay, these are the job descriptions, this is the organization structure. Typically you have a development org, you have a selling org, GTM org. Within GTM org you have these roles, this person does this. And then when you are hiring people, who have learned how to follow certain playbooks, and you bring them in to repeat that playbook to be able to replicate what they have done in some other organization. Now, when you start thinking in an AI native manner, you realize that all those playbooks are up for disruption. And at least you need to reimagine and rethink, is this playbook still valid or not? And in many cases, they are not valid anymore. And most organizations are not able to do this because our society is not ready for it, because our society does not train people to create playbooks. Our
Yep.
society trains people to follow playbooks. So you have
Yes.
abundance of playbook followers, you have very few playbook creators. And
Yep.
today what you need is playbook creators, because AI's playbooks are not yet written. There
Yep.
is no prescription available anywhere. You cannot
Correct.
follow a book, you cannot go to a training program and learn AI
Absolutely.
and implement it. So the only way to become AI native is to be have the ability to write playbooks. And you get the ability to write playbooks when you do extreme experimentation, because you have to try out so many different things before you find out what is working. It's same as like you do your product market fit, right? So similarly, like product market fit, you are trying out so many experiments
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
find your PM. So internally your org structure itself is up for disruption, and you have to try out hundreds of experiments before you figure out what works. And because organizations are not really designed for this, and we have not had to do this for last 20 years, there is a dearth of people who can do this. And if you can do this, if your team can do this, you have an immense advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm reminded of, I don't remember who this was. I have to look up the reference. But the quote is that organizations ship their org structures as a product. Right?
Yeah,
It's
good
a
point.
famous
Yes,
quote
yes, yes.
where if you look at any large product, software
Mm,
product, and so on,
mm,
when you look
mm,
at the menu, sometimes
mm,
as an outsider, the menu is like really confusing. Right? Why
mm,
the hell is this in this place and this other thing there and so on,
mm.
right? And then you look at the org structure, and then it's like, oh, actually, it's just they're just
This is
shipping
the
their
reason.
org structure, right? That menu belongs to that org. So,
Okay, okay.
whatever they're doing goes into that,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Even if it's
yes,
supposed to be
yes.
somewhere else, because then you'll have to get approval from a committee, and that
Right,
doesn't happen. So I'm going to ship this
right,
stuff. And
right,
Google is very famous for this. Infinite variations of
okay,
Google Chat and Google Hangout and Google Talk and
right.
meetings and meetings old and meetings new, and yeah, all of these kind of things, right?
Right.
And
Right.
same with Microsoft and
Yes.
many
Yes.
others, right? And I
Yes.
think what you're pointing out too is a risk where earlier the way it would be addressed would be change management. And so you're trying to say, hey, I'm doing X, I want to be able to do Y as an
Mm.
organization. So I have to
Mm.
morph my organization from X to Y.
Yes.
But in many cases, those changes were not necessarily very, very large changes.
Yeah.
I think the previous large changes were when electricity came in, probably, right?
Yes.
When the
Steam
factory had
engine
to shift
came or
from steam
mm.
engine to
Mm.
electricity or
Mm.
stuff like that. And then when
Yes.
electricity came in,
Yes.
those changes had to be made, and
Right.
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 And similarly, from a computerization perspective,
Right.
how much did the organization need to change in order to be able to
Yeah.
use the
Power.
value?
Mm. Mm.
Otherwise, I know that most
Yeah.
organizations
Mm.
actually what they've done is they've just taken the paper forms
Yeah.
and put that into a computer form,
Yeah.
and the organization has not changed. So
Right.
everything
Right.
is worse in some ways.
Right.
Because earlier you know,
Mm.
whoever made the forms could just like edit the form, and
Yes.
now you can't, right? You have to go to a
Mm.
third party system integrator even if you
Mm.
want to change the form, right? Because the
Right.
form is on SAP and there is a approval process for it and you have to pay for it, and it's
Right.
mad.
Right.
So I think, really, I take your point on that, and I think the founder of Twitter and Square, which became Block, Jack
Block.
Dorsey,
Mm. Mm.
they fired about 4,000 people out of 10,000 people last month.
Mm.
And today he has a post on Twitter where he's talking about how they want to change their org structure in order to
Yeah.
be able to perform better with AI.
Yeah.
And to me, that's something that's been coming up again and again. I think Sidhu Ponappa, who was earlier at Gojek, he's also saying very similar
Mm.
things. As somebody with ADHD and ASD, and I'm sure many people who are developers, right? We find the idea of middle management to be confusing in some ways, right?
Mm.
Or email
Mm.
routing or things like that,
Mm.
right? And so,
Mm.
what is the role that people in those functions
Mm.
are playing? How
Mm.
much of their time is going into stuff that can be done, which is coordination, which can be done well by
Right.
some AI,
Yes.
versus the real value of what they're doing is actually bringing the organization together, maybe aligning people towards a singular vision and things like that, and they don't get
Mm.
time for that, right?
Yes. Routing things
Doing a
from
lot
here.
of
Mm.
lot of the grunt work is
Yes.
being done, but the valuable work doesn't get time.
No, I was just sharing. So this is where we have seen now significant change in how our org operates today versus where we were 15 months ago. And one of the things is that all the senior folks have today become sort of ICs, like they're super ICs, in fact. So, like, no, our director of engineering, who earlier was super busy just coordinating the engineering team and making sure that things are getting done and helping them get unblocked and so on. Today, he's shipping most of like the heaviest of the modules alone by himself. He's become super productive, and like that is, and he's loving it, right? He always wanted to do this, but because somebody had to play a role of managing that team, he was not able to spend time doing this. But now, no, with AI, he's like he's on steroids, so he's like shipping all like very large complex features all by himself, and he's loving it. And same is the case with even people outside of the dev team. And when we think about AI, we don't think of AI as something only for developers. We think of it as something for everyone in the org. And everybody at FlytBase is today a builder. Even our HR team, our admin team, our sales team, our marketing team, everybody is a builder. Everybody is building their own tools. So they are the users. They know what they need, and they are able to work with AI to create those internal infra, internal tooling, and they are able to move so much faster and get so much more done compared to what they were earlier able to do with other junior team members and assigning them tasks and making sure that QA is done, etc., etc. Now they are able to do a lot of those things all by themselves.
In this transition to of folks becoming ICs and
Hmm.
folks building stuff for themselves and things like
Hmm.
that, right?
Hmm.
Where do you see the value of folks who were earlier middle management? What do you think is the delta value that they can add now?
So see, there was a recent post. I don't remember who posted it on LinkedIn, and it was a good mental model of where the value will be. So a lot of these middle kind of management roles have to migrate to either this side or that side, and this side and that side are either become like very very fast experimenters. No, so there is value of people who can run lots of experiments and fearless experiments, just try out random stuff and see what is working and come up with like interesting results. Or be a person who has very good taste, who is able to do QA, who is able to tell the agents or tell what is good and tell it apart from what is bad. So either you have to be that domain expert who has that taste, who has that understanding of what is good or what is bad, or be a very very fast experimenter, ideally both, but if not, then at least one of these two. If you can neither do this nor that, then that's very difficult to sustain.
So, personally, Nitin, what tools are you using? What were you using earlier? What are you using? What's the latest stuff that you're using now?
So see, whenever we think about tools, we realize that see, it is not so much about tools per se, it is more about your mindset. And even if you are using a simple tool like ChatGPT, whatever, you will see a huge variation in how person A versus person B are able to use that. It's like a guitar. Guitar is the same, but if you like Coldplay will play guitar very differently from how I would play, or somebody else would play. So it's not about like
Right.
what kind of guitars you are using, music instruments you are using. It's about your own judgment, your own way of interacting with it. So it's intelligence that is available to you, and now how you interact with it, what you do of it is completely up to each individual. So when it comes to tool, my go-to tool is Claude, and within Claude I use a lot of Claude Cowork and Claude Code, and now Dispatch and other things as well. So that entire Claude family of stuff. I also use GenSpark quite a bit. So for a lot of like super agent sort of tasks, like building presentations or building some other materials or doing some research and creating reports. So GenSpark is pretty good because it's more agentic and it can do a lot of steps and internally. Although now Claude Cowork is also able to do a lot of interesting things. But those are some of the most commonly used ones. But I think the trick is more into how you use it and what kind of thought process you have while you engage with it in order to get different kinds of outcomes.
No, absolutely. How has Cloud Code been for you in 25, early 25, mid 25, late 25 versus now?
So
How
I
much
started
time do you
using
spend on Cloud Code?
started using much later, and I started using Claude Code for my documentation work actually before Claude Cowork came into existence. So my work with Claude Code was not so much for writing code, but it was more for reviewing documents, creating documents, proposals, all those kind of things. So I was using it for all non-coding tasks on the command prompt. So yeah, I started using it sometime I think late 2025. I think September October of
Got it.
2025, and since then, yeah, I've been
So, do you
it has
code
been pretty good.
as well, or you're mostly using it for coordination?
No, mostly for coordination, other things. I have recently started building some of the tooling for team updates and things like that, because like basically we have been kind of eliminating meetings, and we have been reviewing that why do we need meetings and how can we build all kinds of systems that we need in order to eliminate meetings to give visibility to everyone. So whatever I need for know my visibility from different teams, I have recently started building one internal intelligence platform so that different teams I can get like hooks into different teams their own internal tools and then get all that visibility on my dashboard as to like what is going on and where are we headed.
Where do you see this going? This is just accelerating at an insane pace. I can't
Yes,
even
yes,
understand where things are. Forget
yes.
about where things are going, but would love your perspective on this.
Like I think as engineers we are just excited about like coming to work every day right now. Like every day there is so much to explore, so much to do. And what happens is, no, for example, we do very frequent hackathons at FlightBase. So almost every other week we have an hackathon, and at hackathon we are surprised no by so many things that people come up with. We are always like amazed at that, and we sometimes feel little bit sad that why did we not think of it few months ago, right? And we are still like discovering so many new ways that we can use this power to our advantage. We like often discuss that even if like technology were to freeze today, if further developments in AI were to freeze today, there is so much that we need to do to harness all that has already been like made available. So just
Right.
harnessing itself, there is so much headroom. And then of course the innovation is not stopping and so much more is coming out every day. So the only option that we have is to engage with it really deeply, And again, that internal AI native transformation becomes very helpful and very important for multiple reasons. So, one is that helps you ship things much faster, be more efficient, and have a better chance of success compared to anybody else. Secondly, once you do that, you are your own customer. And when you are your own customer, that can give you very fast loop closures, because otherwise if
Hmm.
you're building something for customer, your loop closures will be slower because customer may not be available to test it and give you feedback. So your learning loops will become slower. And it is very important to have very fast learning loops so that you know what is possible with AI, what can be done, and what should you be doing. And your own mental models keep
Right.
evolving as you close these loops faster and faster. So that is why it makes a lot of sense to invest time and effort in internal AI tooling, building your own AI infra, because there your loop closures, your learning can be much, much faster. And then you can apply all that learning to solving customers' problem better. So the internal mental model that we have at FlytBase is that we prioritize building internal AI infra and continuously challenge ourselves that how can we become more and more AI native, in
Nice.
terms of why are we having to spend so many hours on this task? Can this be offloaded to AI? And as we do these things, a lot of new ideas come to us and new frameworks are like we are able to discover new ways of doing things, which also helps us in our product. And we are able to apply those principles to improving the outcomes for our customer. Now, coming to your overall question of where it is headed, I think headed towards that system of action thing gradually. And we have just set ourselves a big enough vision so that we are not exhausted. There is always going to be enough headroom for us to do. And we want to imagine a future where you have a construction site, and suppose you are building a 100-story building. Can that entire building be built through AI and agentic systems and robots without needing any person on the field? The day that is possible, maybe we have exhausted whatever we set out to do. Like our vision is now done. So think of any such large complex task, building a or like mining site. Think about construction site. Think about oil and gas facilities. Today you have like thousands and thousands of people running around and doing things. Gradually, can we offload more and more work to these robotic systems, this intelligence layers, and so on, so as to not need human effort for these kind of mundane tasks that nobody really enjoys doing anyway.
From a broader AI perspective, what kind of progress do you think we're going to see by the end of the year?
No, it's very difficult to say. I think we are just kind of directionally setting ourselves that this is the future that we want to get to. Now, timeline is something that we are very flexible on. And by the way, we have also changed the way we do our internal planning at FlightBase. Earlier, we used to
I
set
see.
a year kind of plan. Now we don't. Now, we set a quarter vision. A quarter is also not a plan, it's just a vision for the quarter. That by the end of the quarter, this is our vision there, this is where we would like to be. But then we discover new things every other week. So we only do 2 weeks of planning at a time. And like
I
two
see.
weeks, it's difficult to
That's
see what will
interesting.
come beyond 2 weeks right now.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's very interesting. Was there resistance to doing that, to going to a 2 week thing and working on it that way?
Internally, team wise, I no, no, that was not the resistance. The resistance was initially in just experimenting with AI and changing the way of working, because of course people were used to following certain playbooks and certain SOPs, that this work is to be done in a certain way. That is where we had to constantly challenge everyone that why can't it be done in a very different way. And whatever we were planning for, say that this work will take 2 days, then we would internally challenge each other that why can't it be done in 2 hours. It's like orders of magnitude change, that okay, is there a way to do it in 2 hours instead of 2 days? And very often we were able to come up with ideas. Of course, initially it we were not able to do it in 2 hours, but at least we came up with a hypothesis that if these things work, then maybe it can be done in 2 hours. And when we actually experimented, it ended up taking maybe still a day, but then we were able to uh, kind of learn how to do it better and better over a period of time and shrink it down to order of like that initial estimate of 2 hours or whatever. So I think experimentation is the key. Just like being willing, having that willingness to fail, because experimentation by definition can fail. So building that organizational kind of culture that we are okay with failure, but we have to try out new things. And
Right.
even if it takes a little bit longer because we had a bunch of failures, we are okay as long as we are able to show that we experimented. We tried out some crazy ideas. It did not work. That's fine.
Has your team size changed over the last 2 years because of all these
Yes.
changes?
Yes, it has. So no, end of 2024, we were about, I think, around 95 people or so. Then we went down to almost 40. Now we are at 55. And again, it has nothing to do with saving money. Our salary bill actually has increased. So we today have a bigger salary bill than what it was in end of 2024. And like salary per employee has almost doubled. But it was all to do with the efficiency in terms of how fast we can ship and how we can get better velocity. That speed is the thing that we focus on, and cost wise, it's still similar or more than where we were.
Awesome. So, Nitin, I heard you say that you've grown a bunch since last year and you're expecting to grow more this year.
Yes,
So,
yes.
all the best for that.
Thanks, Jason.
What is, one last thing that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
So I think just to summarize, I think it is very important to like they say, charity begins at home. And no, I have been like very strong proponent, and I've been telling all my founder friends to focus on internal transformation before we go and help customers transform their businesses with AI. And internal transformation is a lot harder, but it is, I think, much more rewarding, because when you do this internal transformation, you discover new ways of doing things which can also benefit your customers, and it can also impact your product. And doing that is very hard because your entire team is used to certain way of doing things, and doing that change management internally is not easy. But see, unless you go through that journey, you will also not be able to come up with ideas of how to help customers adopt AI, because unless we ourselves are AI native, what right do we have to preach others to use AI? So I think my strong push again is on internal transformation and changing the way we run our businesses, and then help our customers change the way they solve problems.
Awesome. Thanks, Nitin. This was
Thanks for
fantastic.